Today it's 132. I lose the world from all I thought it was. I lose the world from all I thought it was. What keeps the world in chains but your beliefs? And what can save the world except yourself? Belief is powerful indeed. The thoughts you hold are mighty, and illusions are as strong in their effects as is the truth. A madman thinks the world he sees is real, and does not doubt it. Nor can he be swayed by questioning his thoughts' effects. It is but when their source is raised to question that the hope of freedom comes to him at last. So Jesus calls one who believes in this world a madman. Yet salvation is easily achieved, for anyone is free to change his mind, and all his thoughts change with it. Now the source of thought has shifted, for to change your mind means you have changed the source of all ideas you think or ever thought or yet will think. So to change your mind means that you've changed the source of all ideas you think or ever thought or yet will think. You free the past from what you thought before. You free the future from all ancient thoughts of seeking what you do not want to find.
The present now remains the only time. Here in the present is the world set free. For as you let the past be lifted and release the future from your ancient fears, you find escape and give it to the world. You have enslaved the world with all your fears, your doubts and miseries, your pain and tears, and all your sorrows press on it and keep the world a prisoner to your beliefs. Death strikes it everywhere because you hold the bitter thoughts of death within your mind.
This is a powerful mind that, you have enslaved the world with all your fears, your doubts and your miseries, your pain and tears, your sorrows, press on it and keep the world a prisoner to your beliefs. That's a powerful mind. And it's amazing that freedom is possible by changing our mind.
The world is nothing in itself. Your mind must give it meaning. And what you behold upon it are your wishes, acted out so you can look on them and think them real. Perhaps you think you did not make the world, but came unwillingly to what was made already, hardly waiting for your thoughts to give it meaning. Yet in truth, you found exactly what you looked for when you came.
There is no world apart from what you wish. And herein lies your ultimate release. There is no world apart from what you wish. Change but your mind on what you want to see, and all the world must change accordingly. Ideas leave not their source. This central theme is often stated in the text and must be borne in mind if you would understand the lesson for today. Ideas leave not their source. It is not pride which tells you that you made the world you see and that it changes as you change your mind. But it is pride that argues you have come into a world quite separate from yourself, impervious to what you think, and quite apart from what you chance to think it is. I'll read that again. But it is pride that argues that you've come into a world quite separate from yourself, impervious to what you think and quite apart from what you chance to think it is. There is no world. This is the central thought the Course attempts to teach. Not everyone is ready to accept it, and each one must go as far as he can let himself be led along the road to truth. He will return and go still farther, or perhaps step back a while and then return again. But healing is the gift of those who are prepared to learn there is no world and can accept the lesson now. Their readiness will bring the lesson to them in some form which they can understand and recognize. Some see it suddenly on the point of death and rise to teach it. Others find it in experience that is not of this world, which shows them that the world does not exist, because what they behold must be the truth, and yet it clearly contradicts the world. And some will find it in this course and in the exercises that we do today. Today's idea is true because the world does not exist. And if it is indeed your own imagining, then you can lose it from all things you ever thought it was by merely changing all the thoughts that gave it these appearances. The sick are healed as you let go all thoughts of sickness, and the dead arise when you let thoughts of life replace all thoughts you ever held of death.
A lesson earlier repeated once must now be stressed again, for it contains the firm foundation for today's idea. You are as God created you. There is no place where you can suffer, and no time that can bring change to your eternal state. How can a world of time and place exist if you remain as God created you? What is the lesson for today except another way of saying that to know yourself is the salvation of the world? To free the world from every kind of pain is but to change your mind about yourself. There is no world apart from your ideas, because ideas leave not their source, and you maintain the world within your mind in thought.
Yet, if you are as God created you, you cannot think apart from Him, nor make what does not share His timelessness and love. Are these inherent in the world you see? Does it create like Him? Unless it does, it is not real, and cannot be at all. If you are real, the world you see is false, for God's creation is unlike the world in every way. And as it was His thought by which you were created, so it is your thoughts which made it and must set it free, that you may know the thoughts you share with God. Release the world. Your real creations wait for this release, to give you fatherhood, not of illusions, but as God in truth. God shares His fatherhood with you, who are His Son, for He makes no distinctions in what is Himself and what is still Himself. What He creates is not apart from Him, and nowhere does the Father end and the Son begin as something separate from Him. There is no world because it is a thought apart from God and made to separate the Father and the Son and break away a part of God Himself and thus destroy His wholeness. Can a world which comes from this idea be real? Can it be anywhere? Deny illusions, but accept the truth. Deny you are a shadow briefly laid upon a dying world. Release your mind, and you will look upon a world released.
Today, our purpose is to free the world from all the idle thoughts we ever held about it, and about all living things we see upon it. They cannot be there. No more can we. For we are in the home our Father set for us, along with them. And we, who are as He created us, would loose the world this day from every one of our illusions, that we may be free. Begin the 15-minute periods in which we practice twice today with this: I, who remain as God created me, would loose the world from all I thought it was. For I am real because the world is not, and I would know my own reality. Then merely rest, alert but with no strain, and let your mind in quietness be changed so that the world is freed along with you.
You need not realize that healing comes to many brothers far across the world, as well as to the ones you see nearby, as you send out these thoughts to bless the world. But you will sense your own release, although you may not fully understand as yet that you could never be released alone. Throughout the day, increase the freedom sent through your ideas to all the world, and say whenever you're tempted to deny the power of your simple change of mind, say this: I lose the world from all I thought it was, and choose my own reality instead. I lose the world from all I thought it was. The world is nothing in itself. The world is nothing in itself. Your mind must give it meaning, and what you behold upon it are your wishes. Act it out so you can look on them and think them real. Perhaps you think you did not make the world, but came unwillingly to what was made already, hardly waiting for your thoughts to give it meaning. Yet, in truth, you found exactly what you looked for when you came. There is no world apart from what you wish, and herein lies your ultimate release. Change but your mind on what you want to see, and all the world must change accordingly. Ideas leave not their source. The present now remains the only time. Here in the present is the world set free. For as you let the past be lifted and release the future from your ancient fears, you find escape and give it to the world. Beautiful. We can accept this as much as we can. It's a warm invitation. first of all, is to not think it real, even perceptually, what you perceive with your eyes, or hear with your ears, feel with your touch. To not really take it seriously. You can see it, but you can question it. And you can ask, what did my mind make? And why? And what is there instead? Perhaps there is a love knocking, waiting to love you. The love of Christ, the real love, which is even that. Our mind, our persona can try to make that into something. We like to make boxes out of things and label them, diminish them. That's what the human mind does. That's what the deceived mind wants to do all the time. But if we question that, then we are in the present now, and we release what we call the ancient fears, and that would otherwise be projected on as a future, I felt this deep brotherhood with Jesus. I felt I was saying, I'm not sure about this fatherhood, it's quite a statement, to be one with the Father, but he said, well, let's go with that I'm your brother first. Lovely lesson. Does anyone want to bring up anything?
It came to my mind all the time. I don't know where I read this or someone said this. I don't know if it was something just in my mind. Anyway, it's like Jesus is in every brother and sister, everyone that you see all around you. So, in front of them, anywhere in the world, here, whatever in your mind, how would you talk to Jesus? How would you look at Jesus in the eyes? So that's the thinking that came into my mind today, and it was very shocking in the beginning, like, oh my God, everyone is Jesus, the Christ. So yeah, it's like a reminder all the time, everyone. So when you look at your brother, you think that Jesus. So can you imagine?
Yeah. I mean, Jesus says that. Remember that everyone you meet is a holy encounter.
Yeah.
And it is. It is, unless we add interpretation or past learning.
Uh-huh.
That's why it's called like unlearning. We want to unlearn.
Yeah.
Because we label, what I shared earlier, there's the labeling of who someone is. They've those psychological studies, even when you see a person for the first time, you already put your past perspective, projection onto them,
Sorry. Madman.
Yeah. The madman.
Madman, mad mind.
Yeah. The fool is me. What is the saying in English? The joke is on me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one that thinks it's real. But it's so quickly, the mind is so quick to project and think it is outside. Think that it is the victim to the world. Like he said, maybe you think you came here unwillingly to this world, and that the world was already there before you came. Saying it wasn't.
Thank God.
Yeah. It's kind of funny when you think of it, because there's such a strong belief in innocent babies. You know, the babies are born, they are so new and innocent, and then things are added. And it seems to be that way, but actually there's a mind behind it. It's, I want to be here. I want to project, you know, a world where I can be a victim behind. But we can give it a new purpose, transcending it, questioning it. Because it's really strong, even it says here, you know, you have enslaved the world with all your fears, your doubts and miseries, your pain and tears. And all your sorrows press on it. Keep the world a prisoner to your beliefs. So you have enslaved the world with all your fears. And it says death strikes it everywhere because you hold the bitter thoughts of death within your mind. I mean, isn't that a powerful mind? That is mistaken, you know. That's what Jesus is, like this brother is saying, I love you, I love you, I love you. Come, let us change our perception. Let us change your idea of who you are. The lesson starts with change your mind. If you change your mind, everything changes. So even that can be an inquiry. How do I change my mind? Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, help me, show me how do I change my mind. If you feel like, if you're stuck, you know, like blinded. Can be some powerful prayers. Like one of the prayers is decide for God for me. You know, that is the same prayer. Like, show me how I change my mind.
Just got the call with my mum on my mind. Yeah,
How did it go? It sounded joyful.
Yeah, that experience of like I did not know who she was at all. The story that I've put on it for all those years. Yeah, she just seemed, she even said like, I'm hoping that the Irish passport's delayed so you get to spend a bit more time here. Just so genuinely wanting us there, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That's precious.
even just talking about the course, I said I just keep doing my forgiveness work. And she said, oh, I'm really curious to hear all about such an opening. Yeah. And then I felt like somehow I felt safe. I feel a lot safer going back to Barrow now. But then some doubt did come in, like, oh, is this, am I just relying on her being? Yeah, but then, no, it just feels, kind of felt like a huge big symbol of, like, you chose the right thing.
Yeah. It feels really sweet.
Yeah. And that all relationships are going to be transformed.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Can I share? I just love the lesson because it feels, just meeting me where I am and loosening from all I believe. And there was a thought around, eye contact. It was when you made eye contact with me just then, and a fear around that. I can remember me and my partner moving into this area, and it was predominantly a Pakistani area. And the children were so excited that this white couple were living in this area, and they literally used to come and stare in the window and just stare at us, like a gang of little ones, about 6 or 7 year olds. And there was something so inviting about that openness, and the families were really sweet with us, bringing meals and things like that. It was really lovely. But yeah, I think you might have mentioned it yesterday about these Indian, and it just brought that memory to my mind. And just to be that open and, like receptive, I think that's my prayer, just to be that, instead of feeling like a bit awkward, or do I look or do I not look, and, silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a child just looking.
It just, it used to stare at us in the window, or you walk out and they'd be all stood there looking at you like this.
Curiosity. That's so sweet.
So to come to that place of such openness.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
I don't know what to say. I feel so many different things at different times.
You look like an harmonious angel.
Sometimes I feel, sometimes I don't know that I feel angelic, but sometimes I feel peaceful, and other times I just feel unchangeable. And it came to me, I don't know why, but it came to me just now. It's almost like I just want to be invisible. I don't know what that means.
Well, you can allow that, even it doesn't have to be hiding, invisible, but it can be really, really observing everything. Being.
Some vague memory from when I was in an ashram so many years ago. It was almost like something like to aim for, just to be invisible.
Yeah, it's when you said that, it sounded like you said mystical. Feels like that.
Mm. Something like nothing new, just saying that I haven't said before. I notice, fear thoughts when it goes off into the future. My so I'm tempted to call it, we have a term in the UK called security blanket. A child has a sort of security blanket. I'd like that security blanket to be of love instead of the doubt.
Yeah,
I think it's all different. I don't want to see the doubt and wrong as a security blanket.
Mm-hmm. Because it isn't. But love.
It always feels so familiar. It's like,
yeah. It's when you think the body is your reality, then it would be doubt, you know. But if you see mind, or even everything as your reality, or beyond form, as your reality, and you have that, you have another security blanket. The course we had yesterday with some people, it was just so powerful. It's this, you know, strength in Christ, this joining in Christ, because they were still in their, with the turmoil of their families, you know, and in that it can be a bit blinding, can be a bit, because people have so many emotions and they want the role. Hey, you are my dad, you know, the kids are like that. And with the woman we spoke to, with her sister, you are my sister and you should behave a certain way. Like, people project onto them.
Yeah.
So when we joined, it felt like this beam of light, joining from heart to heart in Christ. And they were just so grateful for that, to be truly acknowledged in what is real.
Can I put something on the altar? Yeah, we'd had a Zoom meeting one of the mornings, and afterwards, within the space of an hour, 3 of my cousins had messaged me to say, like, to offer condolences around me and Gareth, because it must have got out, you know. That, and one of my friends, like my best friend through school, who, whenever there's like some sort of crisis in my life, he seems to appear. He sent me a message. But my cousin there was a bit of exchange between me and one of my cousins, the one that's like my sister, because her son's got a job, and I was saying I ever had a shift at the chip shop. But then she put back, oh, I've heard that you're into Christianity, that you're a Christian now, or something like that. Ava had reported this back to her cousin, and I could just feel like all my defences, and I was even quick to respond. I said, no, not Christianity, spirituality.
Yeah.
And it was only afterwards I thought, oh God, there was a big reaction. And then she put something like, oh yeah, now that I can understand, but just wanted to check you're not totally crazy. Which is like what the family called me, you know. And I'm still a bit riled. And it was funny because I was reviewing a video and you were talking about how when Jesus' voice came to you and you were embarrassed at first, and that was the same day. I was listening to that later in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that going back as well to be close to family, it's one of my. I do feel ashamed.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be. I want to be able to talk about Jesus and not.
Yeah, but you can really make a difference. Explain the difference. It's not Christianity.
No.
And maybe you need to explain that to Ava if she doesn't.
Yeah, I've tried to.
Yeah. It's metaphysics. Maybe that's cool. A cooler word. Better word. And metaphysical, not Christian.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, you can talk to them about spirituality, about peace of mind. Yeah. Healing the mind.